Have you ever wondered how your favorite Jumpup or energetic dance floor producers make those insanely epic sounding fake drops? You know, the ones that you hear in every single Jumpup tune these days on every single festival, that instead of actually giving you the drop, give you this super epic, like reverb little beginning of the drop, and then transition into an even more intense build-up, and then just go into a drop that is even nastier than you could have possibly imagined? Well, today we're going to talk about exactly that and how to make something like that completely from scratch. So, if you're as excited as I visually am about this, then let's listen to what we're going to make today.
Turn the fuck up, I got that big energy. Big energy. Turn the fuck up, I got that. 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 Turn the fuck up, I got that big energy. Big energy.
All right. As you can see, I'm super excited about that. And you heard what we had. We had our normal build-up, which is actually from the song that we produced in another video, which if you haven't checked it out, you should definitely check out, called Is This the Best Plugin for Drum and Bass on the Planet? It's about hardware bass, which I actually created the first part of this song with. And you can hear that, if you recognize from that video, the first, like the Reese thing was from the original drop. And now I wrote the second drop and made this fake drop into it to even intensify, and because I wanted to introduce some new sounds. And that's usually kind of what a fake drop is for. It's for two things. One, it's obviously to cause excitement and an idea of being astonished, of being surprised, and that causes, you know, extra sort of excited and extra anticipation for the drop. But it's also a way that you can sort of sneakily transition into making the other part of your song a little bit, you know, different, and in many cases, like this, a little bit nastier. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna see like how to set that up, and we're gonna make this whole thing from scratch basically and look at the techniques involved and how you get to sort of introducing that and the reasoning behind it, and how it then transitions into this different, maybe more nastier drop that we've got. So let's dive into it. So let's start a little bit by talking about the intent behind all of this. So my intent was I had a really busy first drop. That's kind of because I was showcasing the plugin that we were using for that, which once again, that's Hardware Bass by UrbanDub. It's actually still as a partner deal between How to Drum and Bass and UrbanDub. It's on sale, so you can get actually that plugin right now for a 40% discount, which I'll include a link for in the description, which is exclusive to this channel, which is really cool. So definitely go check that out if you like sort of the sounds that have been used in this song. Everything in this song has been created actually with this plugin, which is a Rompler. And yeah, we had the first drop, which I'll show you really quickly, and then you'll kind of understand why I had these intentions for the second drop and why I wanted to make a fake drop. So the first drop basically featured this very intense Reese that we also heard before, and then it transitions into this very heavy drop with lots and lots of different elements. And there was a couple of things in there that I really liked, but because this was already so full, if I was to do a second drop that would be similar to that, it would be kind of hard to make variation without it sounding, you know, kind of messy. It was already hard to string this together and make it sort of one cohesive thing. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take some sounds out, but I wanted to keep sort of the really nasty laser in there that I thought was really cool and do something with it. I wanted to be creative. However, then I made a drop, and I think this is what usually happens, that is just a little bit different from the first drop, and it seemed a little bit like it maybe could have been a song by itself. And so the fake drop then is a way to sort of really let your people know, you know, your listeners, that something else is going to happen, something more exciting and something different. So what I wanted to do, and this is also the intent of this, is use that fake drop to go from my normal build-up, which first was that Reese, then there was a build-up, and then there was the drop, and take that Reese and change it slightly, do the build-up as if it was going to be normal, but then in the build-up kind of let you know that something else is happening, put the fake drop down there, and the fake drop prepares the listener for the carnage that is going to come afterwards. And so what we can see then in the second drop is that I've kept some elements from the first drop that I'm introducing in the fake drop. And we're going to talk about how to properly build that up, but let me just show you sort of the elements that we're going to be using. So in the first drop, there was this particular sound, which I just really like because it's just so nasty. I'm just going to solo it. this sort of laser bass, which I really liked. And it comes back in various different parts of the first drop. And this one. Then I had these other layers, like this one as well, and this one, and of course this wompy thing. But I didn't feel like everything really was going to fit in there. So I decided to keep the laser and to keep that little bass hit growly thing and make this entire second drop. But then, of course, I needed something to replace all the sounds that I dropped, and I found this other really sick sound from Hardware Bass, which to me kind of sounds like an angry robot, which sounds like this. Whoa, I really like that. So I constructed that second drop that you just hear with this, and I knew that I had to introduce that into the drop, and I knew that I wanted to use the laser to sort of cause this epicness. So that resulted in this fake drop, which you just heard. I'll just play it one more time. So you can hear that we had that laser that's becoming really, really, really big. And then towards sort of half of it, we get some different drums, something more exciting, like just a little bit different than just the normal kick roll that we were using before, showing that, hey, something different is coming. And I've been introducing this angry robot sound, right, which is gonna come in. Okay, so now that we've talked about sort of the intent, let's go in and sort of build this from scratch, shall we? Okay, so first things first, what I wanted to do is I wanted to introduce that something different was going to happen, this fake drop, and I changed up part of my reese so that it sounds differently. So the first reese has this note progression. So it ends low. Now I wanted to make it slightly more exciting, so I chose to change the reese already that's going to lead into the build-up just to already signal that something is going to go on. Into this. Making the notes higher to give that extra feeling of anticipation. Then we just transition into the normal build-up, but I included some extra rising sounds by using actually a reverse reverb of what we're going to make, this laser sound, which we'll talk about in just a second, which is really present and sort of kind of like goes through the build-up to sort of show you like, hey, wait, hold on, something else is coming as well, which sounds like this. Okay, very cool. And so now we have basically this empty section that we need to fill with our intention of making a fake drop. Okay, so the first things that we want to do is we want to have an impact on the fake drop because we're building up to something. We can't just let that go. We got to give it a big smash. So what we're going to do, and you can see that a couple of channels here are frozen. That's just to save CPU, so don't worry that they're blue. But we're going to grab a MIDI of the kick here, and I'm actually using a kick noise also layered under the kick so that we get one strike. Then also my kicks are routed to a group, and what I want to do is I want to actually make that kick hit really hard, but I want it to have a really big reverb tail because everything that we're going to do has to sort of, you know, go like that. So I just put on a reverb of choice and I automated the on and off to just be exactly when that first kick hits. And then of course for the rest of it, it has to be off. So it's only on for a small period of time in which that reverb can kind of do its thing. But I put in the settings that I wanted to have quite a bit of pre-delay here so that the transient of the drum hits and then afterwards the kick comes on, which sounds really cool. Gives you this effect. So that is very good stage setting, like very impactful, but already very atmospheric. Then to give that some extra power, I also have some effects down here, some risers that I used and like a little bit of a crash. Let's also take those and we can just reverse one of those to make it more of a down sweep. And we can take actually one of these crashes as well, something that's just a little bit more acoustic, which sounds like this, to give that even more tail and even more sort of noisiness and, you know, like the feeling that it's having an impact. Then also on my vocals that are appearing here just before this fake drop, we're going to introduce a pretty heavy delay with like a really high feedback, and we're going to automate the on and off of that as well to kick in at the last word, so that energy word, and to keep going and sort of fade out during the fake drop, because that's what we want, right? We want everything to fade out and then build into something new, and that's just going to add to the anticipation as well. So now that we got this, hey, so sorry to interrupt, but I just want to tell you something that you might find interesting. I think you're watching this video because you want to learn more about how to produce drum and bass, and if you are really taking that seriously, then you may want to have a look at our flagship membership, the School of Drum and Bass. School of Drum and Bass is my passion project. It's my mission to help the world produce more and better drum and bass, and it's a super affordable membership in which we cover everything you need to know, both about music production, but also specifically about producing drum and bass. And we have an incredible amount of videos about everything. We cover everything all the way from like how to use Ableton, all the way to sort of what is drum and bass and how does it work and what are the drum patterns and all that kind of stuff. Getting familiar with your synthesizer. We have hours of videos on how to use Serum. We have videos covering every single popular sound in drum and bass and how to make it and the theory behind how to make those sounds. We have professional mixing and mastering classes. We have start to finish mixing and mastering sessions where we do entire drops or entire songs. And very soon even we're going to be adding complete start to finish tracks where we literally make a track completely from scratch all the way to finishing it and take you along for the ride. This membership literally is the biggest and most extensive drum and bass learning resource on the planet right now. And the best thing is we got a deal right now where you can join your first 7 days for just £1 That's literally like $1.15 or €1.10 for more than 300 videos. And we're posting new super extensive videos at least every single week with new topics and more creative sound design stuff and more complex arrangement based tutorials as well. Basically everything that you'd ever want to know plus more. So if you want to go check that out, go to the link below or just go to howtodrumandbass.com and you'll find the School of Drum and Bass. All right, without further ado, let's move on to the rest of the video. Cool. Okay, now it's time to introduce our big sound, the laser, right? And so for me personally, I had to do a little bit of a workaround here because I was working with a Rompler. As you can see here, this laser bass sound, which basically sounds like this, is actually just a very short sample that can't be elongated, but we can do a quick workaround with that. So we're actually going to copy this entire channel, just this whole sound that we have. We're going to call that long laser. And we're just going to take one of these notes that it was playing at, but we're going to make this much longer. So let me just consolidate this, and we want one really elongated note. And of course there needs to be movement in that note. We're going to manually basically do that. And we're going to make a recording of the sample that's coming out of the Rompler so that we actually have audio to play with and we can put that in a simpler. So we got this. That's as long as the sample was. But now what we can do is we can put that in a simpler or in a sampler, whatever is your choice. And we can actually let it loop on specific parts of the sound. So we can actually take a part of it, so we actually let the whole sample play and let it get stuck on one of the parts, which is what we did here. And then what we can do is, if you have a separate sub, you don't need to do this. You need to keep your sub separate and not let it go up in pitch, but we can let the other parts of the sound that are not a sub go up in pitch. So let's make sure that this note basically lasts this entire fake drop. And then what we can do is we can add a number of shifters of which we automate the fine, right? So how much in pitch it goes up to increase also the intensity and sort of the anticipation by letting that pitch go up of the laser. So without that, it would be kind of boring, right? It would just be this. And it would just continue like that. But if we do a couple of these shifters, and I've put them in an audio effect rack now, and I've low cut it because in my case the sample already has the sub, so I had to separate that. And I put 3 shifters on there. Mainly the reason for that is because this coarse button doesn't go up as gradually, so actually just 3 times a fine shifter works a lot better. And I've just mapped that to a macro here, and this macro is then automated to just go up over the whole note, and that gives it something much more exciting. Now, another smart thing to do is, as it sort of fades out, and we're also going to add some reverb to that, the volume is also going to trail down, but we actually want everything to kind of go up, so we can automate the volume as well. Then all you need to do is add some really insanely large reverb with like 50% mix or something, and you can kind of choose to do a long decay or not, and make sure that that first part hits really hard, so that it has less mix, but that goes up really quickly. So something like this. And then we can actually accentuate that curve to be somewhat more like this, so that we get this. And what's really cool is now that we have sort of this shifter in combination with the gain going up and also the reverb, we actually get sort of like an accidental riser that's really cool. That's really going to add to the atmosphere of what's coming next. All right, so quick overview. Right now we have this elongated laser sound, which goes pretty much all the way to the end. We have a kick, and we have some of these special effects right here, and we have that vocal coming through. This is already a really good start for the first half of the fake drop, because it's going to sound like this. And then we're ready for some drums to kick in. So what's cool to do here is, instead of using the normal drums that you use, to use some slightly different drums. So what I really like to do is to do some sort of different pattern and to get some toms instead of some kicks. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make an audio channel for tom rolls. And I found 2 really cool samples from the same sample pack on Splice. This one and this one. And what I wanted to do was like ding 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 ding, like a galloping type of horse, because that's also really epic. It gets that warrior feel to it. So I just take one of the samples, chop it up, and add 2 of them, so I get this cadence. And then we just have to repeat that again and again and again and again until at some point it intensifies, of course, into what is essentially then, I guess, a tom roll, right? So I think that's somewhere halfway through. We actually start because then that laser has gone down. We want to get the drums to kick in. And then halfway through that, actually, we take that high one and we just make it half of its original size. And we just let that repeat over time until basically the end of the drop. So that we get something like this. Now, of course, we want to make that a little bit more interesting, so we can do some automation on there. The first thing that we can do is we can actually grab just a filter, and we want to sort of make it so that the lows cut out and that we get this sort of highs of the drums so they become completely high pass towards the end to make room, you know, for the basses that are going to hit in the drop. Just going to do something along the lines of this, or maybe just a little bit less dramatic, maybe somewhere down here. Yeah, something like that. And then also what we can do is we can add a shifter on here to sort of keep the last part of that drums, that it doesn't get too thin, but that it does go up in pitch, which also contributes to the anticipation again. So we're just going to take that fine knob again, and we're going to put it on frequency mode because we can't really do semitones. That's not nuanced enough for this. So we're going to take that fine knob on the frequency mode, and we're just going to let that go up ever so slightly, something like 100 hertz or something like that. And then maybe dial back that frequency automation also a tiny little bit more so that we get this. And you can hear now it's kind of going up, which is really cool. And then, of course, we want to leave this area open because that's where we're going to bring back the vocal. So let's grab our vocal that we had before, and we just want to grab that phrase again.
Energy, energy, energy.
Let's grab all of everything that we have, and we're going to insert that at the end here, just before the drop, so that we have these drums going into that, so that now we have this.
Big energy.
So yeah, we're almost there. The only thing that I think is really cool is when that vocal sounds a little bit different than the other sounds, one thing that you can do is actually you can let the first part of that come in and automate that as well, which is what we're going to do. So that's the part that we want, and we're just going to grab that, going to make that slightly smaller, and then we're going to copy that over a bunch of times so that we get this.
Big energy.
And then we can use a filter again to let that come in. So we're going to grab that frequency here on the group, and we're just going to let it filter in at exactly the right amount. So something like...
Big energy.
Nice, and that'll transition really, really nicely between those two elements. All right, perfect. Then the last thing that we got to do is we have that new really angry robot sound that we have, and we just got to let that come on. We're going to introduce that sound now. The other sounds we already knew from the last drop. We don't need to introduce those, but we can make it extra epic by introducing this new sound in the drop because, once again, it's all about anticipation, and that's going to tell us that something exciting is coming. So we're just going to take the first note of that sound, and we're going to take it all the way into the second part of the fake drop where it needs to come in. And once again, we're going to filter it in. So we're going to copy it first in one note, and then we're going to do the same thing that we were doing with the drums. We're going to let it be super quick after that. And then we're going to make an auto filter here, of which the on off we're going to automate as well, so that that turns on. And we're going to automate the frequency, just like with the drums, to go upwards and sort of like let it come in and be more powerful throughout that start of the drop just before the vocal. And then the vocal. Perfect. And that all together makes... And yeah, that's it. That all together makes the following end result.
Turn the fuck up, I got that big energy. Big energy.
Alright guys, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comments. If you want to get the project file for this, if you want to see how this was constructed, this is actually a song that I'm going to be putting out very, very soon. So it's going to be quite special that you get to have a sneak peek into it. But the project file will be available in the School of Drum and Bass. You can find the link to join the School of Drum and Bass below. But if you're just interested in all the racks that I use and all the MIDI notes and the way that those shifters go up and the automation and all that stuff, I'm going to include that as a free download just here below. So you can also click that link. So you got goodies to choose from. All right, that was the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're into producing drum and bass and you want to learn more, definitely make sure to check out the School of Drum and Bass, not just for this project file, but also because we have over 300 videos about exactly producing drum and bass like this at this level. All right, that was the video, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.